Welcome back to Strayatrains. In this video, we're going to take a look at 10 unique services that are scheduled to depart Flinders Street during the peak AM every morning. Hope you enjoy the video. Oh, and here's a Pakenham via Sandown Park HMT. We'll go in chronological order to make things easier, starting off with the 6:40 AM Mooroolbark service. This service stops all to Richmond, runs express from Richmond to Camberwell, Camberwell to Box Hill, then stops all to Mooroolbark. Now, what exactly makes this service quite unique? Well, first up, it is only one of two services throughout the entire day that is scheduled to terminate at Mooroolbark. The other one happens in the peak PM. But what makes this service even more unique is after it terminates at Mooroolbark, it will originate from Mooroolbark and then run a city loop service. Unlike the peak PM Mooroolbark, that after terminating at Mooroolbark, it actually runs empty carriages. Now, if that was a little early for you, we remain on the Lilydale line and skip to the 7:29 AM Lilydale service, stopping all stations to Lilydale. Yes, there is a Lilydale service that stops at East Richmond even during weekdays. Whilst this does happen during night network on Friday and Saturday nights, this is the only one of its kind that happens on a weekday during the peak or off-peak times. Now we head off the Lilydale line, and just 4 minutes later, departing Flinders Street at 7:33 AM, there is a limited express service to Cranbourne that stops all to South Yarra, runs express from South Yarra to Caulfield, Caulfield to Oakley, Oakley to Clayton, then stops all to Cranbourne. This is the only Cranbourne service that runs express through a station beyond Caulfield on the line. About half an hour later, it sees number 4 on this list, and that is the 8:02 service to Moorabbin, stopping all stations to Moorabbin. This is the only service that actually terminates at Moorabbin through the entire week. All other services that terminate at various other locations on the Frankston line, including Cheltenham, Mordialloc, Carrum, and Frankston, terminate there multiple times throughout the day. This also allows for the only time to terminate at Moorabbin and therefore terminate at platform 2 at Moorabbin and then have a service originate from there. At number 5, we have the 8:23 and 8:46 North Melbourne service, stopping all stations to North Melbourne. Now, this is interesting because this is a service that is effectively 2 stops long, but beyond that, the train after terminating at North Melbourne runs empty carriages all the way to Flemington Racecourse sidings. This means that the only time during the morning peak we'll see a dark pink service, which is for the Flemington Racecourse line only, will be twice for the 8:23 and 8:46 North Melbourne service. Now, if that isn't good enough and you want to head out east, just 3 minutes later at Flinders Street, you have the 8:26 AM Riversdale service stopping all stations to Riversdale. This is unique as the other Riversdale services are a limited express, but also if you do ride this train to Riversdale, it terminates there and then runs empty carriages to Camberwell sidings, and they are split up there to become 2 of the 3 carriage trains that run the Camberwell Alamein shuttles in between the peak AM and PM. So this is a great foreshadow to see what will be some of the 3 carriage trains on the Alamein line on a particular day. Number 7 is the 8:34 AM Syndal service, stopping all stations to Richmond, running express from Richmond to Kooyong, Kooyong to Gardiner, Gardiner to Holmesglen, then Holmesglen to Syndal. This is a unique service because similar to the Mooroolbark service, it terminates at the second last station on a line. However, differently, it then runs to Glen Waverley sidings to Stable for the day. Plus, because of the unique stopping pattern and time of day, if you do want a carriage to yourself, then it's a good idea to hop on this service and ride it to Syndal. And now time for maybe the most famous service on this list, known as the Puffin Billy Express or the Belgrave Super Express, the 9:16 Belgrave Limited Express service. This service is probably the longest you'll ever hear on a PA system. This service stops all to Richmond, runs express from Richmond to Glenferrie, Glenferrie to Camberwell, Camberwell to Union, Box Hill to Blackburn, Blackburn to Mitcham, Mitcham to Ringwood, Ringwood to Bayswater, Boronia to Upper Fantry Gully, then Upper Fantry Gully to Belgrave. This unique stopping pattern serves all stations on the Belgrave line that are start from first to last train 7 days a week, with the exception of Nunawading and Ferntree Gully. Just 2 minutes later, at second to last on this list, we see the 9:18 AM Epping service stopping all stations to Epping via the City Loop. Now, this is the only one of its kind, like just about every service on this list, but what makes this service so unique is because it is almost like a little bit of a throwback to what the line used to be like. Previous to the South Morang and eventual Mernda line extensions, this exact line used to actually terminate at Epping Station. Whilst after terminating, this train does run from Epping Station empty cars to Epping sidings, the uniqueness of a train terminating at a previous line's final stop is kind of cool and a nice little throwback. And finally, it has to be on this list, the 9:22 AM Batman Limited Express service, stopping all stations to North Melbourne, running express from North Melbourne to Royal Park to Coburg, then stopping all stations to Batman. This service is the only service on the Upfield line that is scheduled to not terminate at Upfield Station, and is also the only limited express service on the Upfield line. So that will do it. Are there any services that take your fancy that you want to ride on, or any that you thought that this list missed out on? Feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I think we'll leave it at that. Cheers.